Hey, it's Michelle, and it's raining still. I've had so much flooding going on. My porch has been flooded. Crawl space has been flooded. It's stinky in here. It's just been horrible, and it won't stop raining. But anyway, I'm getting ready to took the time to make this video today. I'm getting ready to go to work here pretty soon, my second job, so I'm back to doing two again, right where I need to be. I got a government building and a bank that I'm cleaning after 4 o'clock, so that's what I'm doing now, which it's not too bad. I started yesterday. It's, you know, it's a job. I need it, so I do what I have to do. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the borderline versus the narcissist, because like I mentioned before, I think, you know, in my opinion, I was in a relationship for 15 years with what I think was a borderline personality disordered person. You might as well call it the borderline versus the narc. We can refer to that as being parentified versus being used, because that's basically what it is. With a borderline, you're parentified. You have to be their parent. You have to make all their decisions. You have to solve all their problems. And if it doesn't work out, you're to blame. It's just, it's ridiculous with the borderline like that. And where the narcissists, they use you and they just don't care. I mean, they're just out to get what they want, and a narcissist just doesn't care. It's total usury. So, like I said, parentified versus being used. So, you know, there are some good aspects from what my experience was, you know, with a borderline, because I did have a 15-year-long relationship with him. They do love you. They're capable of love, and they have empathy for people. Actually, they're very emotional people. In my opinion, too emotional from what I saw. I mean, he was emotional a lot. I mean, anywhere from anger to sadness to love to hate, just all over the place. I mean, it was just, you know, that's another thing. They don't manipulate people. They don't use people. They don't lie, steal, and cheat their way through life like a narcissist would. But, you know, they're very difficult to live with, you know, and I'm getting ready to explain why. Like I said, they have conscience, they have empathy, they're able to love you, but your love will be tested on a constant basis with the borderline. They will constantly test whether or not you love them, whether or not you care for them, whether or not you're spending enough time with them. If you go out in a public place, let's just say you get engaged with a conversation with a group of people or a person, and you don't include them in the conversation, well, or they'll just walk away from you just to test you to see if you're going to include them in the conversation eventually, or, you know, how you're going to treat them at the time. It's not just, you know, you're being social. It's all about, you know, are you including them, and you must not love them if you're not including them in the conversation, and, you know, you shouldn't have brought me here anyway, I'm just ruining your evening. You know, it'd be something like that all the time with the borderline. They're very, very, very antisocial. They don't like to socialize. I would have people at my house, and he would just go upstairs, and he wouldn't socialize with my mother, with any of my friends. It got to that point where he was just very antisocial. He would go in the other room when people came over, even some of his own friends who came to visit, and I would entertain them, and he would just go upstairs. I mean, they don't want to socialize. You know, they're very, how do you put it? I mean, they're not necessarily a loner, because they have to have you to be their parent to make all their decisions. So when, you know, if they do make a decision and it doesn't go their way, they'll blame you for it. But at the same time, they're antisocial. I think they have to have somebody close to them, you know, just to do that, to be a parent figure, to make the decisions, to solve their problems, so on and so forth. Okay, let's see. Anger issues. a lot of anger issues, a lot. He would throw temper tantrums like a 4-year-old or a 2-year-old. You would hear him outside with the animals or something, just it wasn't his day. You know, he'd step in shit or something and he would just go the hell off and just start ranting and raving and cussing. And you'd hear him in the house, you know, and this would go on all the time, and I would tell myself, you know, one day I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I knew he had a very, very bad childhood. That's another thing with a borderline. I think they all have that in common, is their childhood. His was very traumatic, very, very traumatic. I'm not going to mention what happened to him because, you know, it was traumatic. There was a lot of death involved. He was neglected by, you know, his parents, sort of moved around. You know, it was a lot of bad things. So, and I think with a borderline, that's where the parentifying comes in. They need that parental figure in their life that they really never had to begin with, to direct them, to make their decisions, to, you know, to tell them right from wrong, to just everything. They have to have that. And if you don't provide that, then they claim that you don't love them enough, and there has to be somebody to help them through life because they can't do it by themselves. You know, so that's a lot on a person when you're in a relationship, you know, as far as being someone's spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend. You don't want to feel like their mother or father. It's very stressful. So just saying. The anger issues, just very emotional all the time. Any little thing could set him off. As far as anger, as far as crying, as far as being sad. They'll love you one minute and hate you the next minute because you did something and you don't even realize what you've done. They'll just get mad for no reason and you don't know why. You're constantly walking on eggshells. That's another thing. You have to walk on eggshells with the borderline because any little thing will set them off emotionally. Any little thing. So, yeah. They love you one minute, they'll hate you the next because you might say hi to the mailman, or, you know, you might pay a little more attention to your pet than you do them, and, you know, then they claim that you don't love them, and, you know, it's just, they're all over the place all the time, and this can be very stressful. I went through a time, you know, we met when we were really young, so, I knew his childhood was bad. I always knew there was something that caused, you know, him to act this way because his childhood was so bad. I just didn't really know what. Like, you know, I don't have a degree in psychology. So, and I really didn't even learn about borderlines until I started studying about narcissism. When I started researching narcissism, then I read about the borderline and I'm like, wow, I spent 15 years with one of these people, you know. Which, you know, it's not a bad thing. I wouldn't take it back because we did love each other. They are capable of loving you. But your love is tested all the time. And you have to be a parental figure. Or it's not going to work. And I'm just, you know, like I said, it's stressful. It's very stressful. I went through a time where I got pretty sick within this 15 years. And I do believe it was just from the stress of the relationship, the walking on eggshells. We would move because the grass was greener down here, and, you know, we'd have to uproot, quit our job, change our life because, you know, it's better over here than it is here, and it was just very stressful. I had chronic fatigue syndrome for a couple of years. Actually, about 17 years ago when I started working for the people I work for now, I mean, with the stress of the new job and him and being in that constant, you know, stressful state constantly at home and at work, it threw me into some kind of sickness, and I call it chronic fatigue syndrome because I researched my own symptoms. Of course, I went to the doctor and stuff like that. They really couldn't ever diagnose me with anything, but I did have some physical things going on in my body because of the stress. You know, like I said, it is very stressful. It's like you're parenting an adult. And you have to make all the decisions, and all that's on you. And if your decision turns out to be the wrong decision, well, then you're to blame. And you catch hell for it. So that's just a little bit about that. And you walk on, like I said, you walk on eggshells. They're very, 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 very needy. You know, you have to meet all their needs, and you have to meet all their needs at all times. And if you don't meet those needs, you know, there's hell to pay. So, I mean, he was never violent or anything like that. It was just the anger. It was the tantrums. It was the ranting, the raving, the you know, just being antisocial, the over-emotional reactions to everything. So, yeah, that can be very stressful. Even, you know, if you are in love with somebody, it's not healthy. It's just not healthy. You know, and everybody else was at fault, you know, if something happened, like, just say, for instance, he spilled his soda all over himself. Well, it wasn't his fault that he spilled his soda all over himself. It's the manufacturer of the soda can. It was too slippery. You know, that's just an example. Nothing's their fault. Nothing is their fault. That's why they have to have you make their decisions. You have to solve the problem. Even if you do solve the problem and it goes well, they'll just go find another one the next day and bring it home and expect you to solve it too. You know, because they have to have help. They can't go through life alone. That's what I was told a lot. So, you know, I wouldn't recommend trying to be in a close relationship with a borderline without at least some therapy. They can do well in therapy versus a narcissist. A narcissist, there's no hope for them. There's no therapy. There's no hope. They get worse with age. So, just a little comparison there on the borderline and the narc. So yeah, you're either parentified or you're used. That's been my experience so far with my relationships that have been unhealthy. And the one before that, I had a 6-year relationship before the borderline when I was a lot younger, when I first left home after high school, and he was an alcoholic, you know, and that's just totally unhealthy as well. I mean, there's just nothing healthy about an alcoholic. So, all right. And, you know, narcissists, compared to the borderline, they're social. They won't go hide in a room. They like to study people. They're very social. They like to know everybody's business. They might even want to have sex with your friends or your family or their own family or whatever. You know, they're very social people. You know, and they're smart. They're not stupid. They're very intelligent. Narcissists can be very intelligent. You know, of course, they manipulate and steal and lie and you know, cheat their way through life. That's how they get their money, and their women, and, you know, they withhold information from people. You know, borderlines don't really do that, I don't think. You know, they'll have multiple sex partners, narcissists do. Borderlines, I'm sure some do, but, you know, in my case, he was pretty loyal. We didn't have that kind of issue. And you know, the narcissist will take you through that cycle and repeat and repeat and repeat. Borderlines don't necessarily take you through any cycle. You just have to be their parent, and you get the blame for anything that doesn't go right, and you walk on eggshells. So, I mean, and the narcissist is way more dangerous than the borderline. I mean, just way more dangerous in so many ways, you know, with the sex partners, the manipulation, the lying, the withholding the information, the stealing, you know, it's just all way more intense and way more dangerous than a borderline. And in extreme cases, narcissists kill, you know, like the Chris Watts case. I mean, you talk about extreme narcissism, you can see that all over that man. He had secret lives, you know, he was having sex with other men, and narcissists will do that too. I mean, don't let them fool you. Anybody that will give them any kind of attention, they will have sex with them. They don't care what sex they are. They don't care how old they are. They don't care if it's a relative. They don't care if it's someone's wife. They don't care. And, you know, they objectify people to the point where, you know, you're just an object to the narcissist. So, you know, of course, this guy, his family got in his way, and he just killed them all. Because, you know, they're objects. They're not people in his world. You know, and if you ever watch anything on that case where they interviewed him and things, you could see his body language, you know, where he was lying about everything. That's total extreme narcissism right there to its finest. But like I said, that's the extreme form. And probably, you know, psychopath, you know, he's, you know, beyond narcissism. But anyway, I'm just saying that's, you know, a pretty good example of one. So, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the dating profile of a narcissist. Okay, number one, dead giveaway. They'll lie about their age right away. That's the dead giveaway on a narcissist profile. They will lie about their age. Okay, I seen my narcissist was on Tinder and POF. On, you know, he was 7 years younger on POF and, you know, 6 years younger on Tinder. You know, they don't like getting older. They don't want to let their age be known until maybe they get to know you. They might tell you later, or they might not. You know, both narcissists that I dated lied about their age. You know, both of them. So, number one red flag on the dating site. And they'll either do one of two things. They will either oversell themselves. Their profile will be so lengthy about how great they are, their vehicles, their jobs, how wonderful they are, they're beautiful, you know, and all this, or it'll be nothing at all. It'll be just ask. Okay, it'll be one extreme or the other with a narcissist. There's no in between with these people. And I found it, you know, just hilarious that my narcissist, his dating profile, after we split up, he called himself, his online name was No Age Actor. Now, you couldn't get it any more specific than No Age Actor on a narcissist. I mean, number one, he's lying about his age. Number two, he's an actor. That's for sure. He's a fucking actor. So I found that to be entertaining. But yeah, he oversold himself on his profile. I mean, it was just ridiculous. It went on for paragraphs, just lies after lies after lies. You know, he talked about how his parents were so important in his life, but he didn't mention that he lived with them. You know, bragged about his vehicles, his money, he had great hygiene, but he also mentioned that he had little empathy for other people in the world, but, you know, he cared about his family. He did mention that, so that's a huge red flag right there, about a narcissist not having any empathy. So, yeah, they don't reveal the bad things about them, you know, and they're gonna exaggerate the good and downright just lie about everything, basically, down to their age. So, and I found it funny that, you know, on one of his profiles, he had so many, he had mentioned that love is friendship on fire. Love is friendship on fire. Okay. No, a narcissist doesn't know what love is, and, you know, yeah, your friendship is going to be on fire if you get involved with a narcissist, and it's not going to be in a good way. Okay. Alright, well, that's a little bit about a narc dating profile, and I want to talk about a narcissist and his money for just a minute, and then I'll be done. Yeah, they'll get money. They hustle money through life. You know, they will work some, you know, here and there. They don't do well with jobs, like I said before. They don't like to have a boss. They don't like to be told what to do, and they can't get along with other people. So they will hustle money through life a lot, through lawsuits, you know, selling drugs, whatever they have to do. They'll sell stuff on eBay. Like, He would love to shop at Goodwill and, you know, buy stuff that was cheap and then turn around and try to sell it to somebody else and make $1, you know. They're always trying to just make $1 off of somebody. He would always buy me just the cheapest of shit. Used stuff off eBay, he would buy me, you know, but he would buy himself brand new stuff. He would shop at Goodwill, you know, Ollie's, just anywhere that was just really, really, really cheap. You know, they'll have lawsuits, and like he actually had a bike wreck, you know, and he had his little lawsuit going, but you know, they'll exaggerate, they will lie, they will make up stories to get more money, and then they'll expect you to jump in it with them and back them up. I'm not. I don't think so. But anyway, you know, and it works for them too. It works for them a lot of times. They'll have lawsuits and they will get, you know, good amounts of money. You know, and that just helps their ego that much more. You know, they'll hustle money in shady, just any kind of shady way. They'll hustle it up. They're very selfish with their money. They don't, you know, like I said, he would pay a small bill of mine. You know, like the internet or something, and buy some groceries or something like that, which I'm not saying it wouldn't help me out, because yeah, it helped me out a little bit, but you know, I'm working 3 jobs struggling to pay my rent while he's running around with 3 of my house keys every day, living with his parents. He wasn't even working at the time, and he's got thousands of dollars in his bank account. So, you know, that's how a narcissist will treat you. You know, because they're just getting what they need out of you. And you better hope you don't have any money, because they'll take it. So, I mean, that's about all I have to say about that. You know, the money is just, they're very selfish with it. They don't like to share. They'll buy you something used. They'll buy themselves something brand new. They don't like it if you buy like a new vehicle or something like that. They'll have to one-up you on that. They don't like that. They don't like being one-upped on anything. So that's just a little bit of what I have to say today. And my next video is going to be interesting too, because I'm going to talk about the discard, how they discard you, and what all that entails. It's interesting as well. So y'all have a good day. I better get back to work. Bye.